Hello class, hopefully all are fine. Yes, so today is again a day for a repeat class. Yes, already we have read, I discussed thoroughly the chapter Respiration from Life Processes. Today I will discuss only the main points. See, when you already know the letters, it's easier to make the words, then it's easier to make the sentences. So already all of you are having a basic knowledge on this chapter. Today, based upon that, I will clear if you are having any this kind of doubts from this chapter. Okay, so let's have a look. So what is respiration? By definition, the breaking of CC means carbon to carbon bonds of complex compounds through oxidation within the cell, leading to release of considerable amount of energy is called respiration. These carbon to carbon bonds can be broken generally from glucose means carbohydrate products, sometimes also from lipid protein products based upon the condition of the cell. The compounds that are oxidized, for example, here I talked about glucose. That's the respiratory substrate. During this process, oxygen is utilized and CO2, water and energy are released as products. So, in the left side of the equation, you will write, what you will write? That glucose plus O2 and it will release CO2, water and energy in the right side. In any case, now focus, in any case, all living organisms retain the enzymatic machinery to partially oxidize glucose without the help of oxygen. This breaking of glucose to pyruvic acid, which is occurring at cytoplasm, this process is known as the glycolysis. So, here no need of oxygen. So, pyruvic acid is the key component of glycolysis. Then, according to the cell needs, okay, it will further proceed to any of the three pathways. Maybe lactic acid fermentation, alcoholic fermentation and aerobic respiration. That means by definition, lactic acid fermentation and alcoholic fermentation, these two are the types of anaerobic respiration. So now let's take a look the differences between anaerobic and aerobic respiration. Most important points. Aerobic respiration, point 1, oxygen is present when this form of respiration takes place, whereas in anaerobic respiration, oxygen is absent. Point 2, it can be found in cytoplasm and in mitochondria if aerobic, but anaerobic only in the cytoplasm. Already I discussed these points. So what can be the more points, relevant points? Yes. Based upon third point, product means outcome. In aerobic respiration, outcome is already I discussed. It can be CO2, H2O and water. If anaerobic, there can be either lactic acid or alcohol, ethanol, right? And energy, as aerobic respiration is performed in cytoplasm and mitochondria, so more energy. In anaerobic, less energy. So next, three main things. First step, the small list toggled points. Glycolysis at cytoplasm, then Krebs cycle at mitochondria. Third, electron transport chain at inner mitochondrial membrane, provided if it is aerobic. First one and second one can yield a bit amount of energy. If the third process, ETC, electron transport chain, not performed at inner mitochondrial membrane, then energy means ATP generation in bulk amount not possible. Okay. Now, glycolysis at cytoplasm, glucose broken into pyruvic acid. Okay. If no oxygen means anaerobic, two types. First, lactic acid fermentation in bacteria, in mammalian muscle cells due to exercise. Pyruvic acid can be converted to lactic acid. Later, whenever condition or circumstances okay, that time lactic acid can be again converted to pyruvic acid to enter the Krebs cycle. Second, alcohol fermentation, where yeast cell, they will break this pyruvic acid to ethanol, C2H5OH and CO2. Okay, so in this way anaerobic respiration performed at cytoplasm. Here you got information regarding the products. Okay, so let's have a look. If it is aerobic, what happens? Glucose entered at cytoplasm. After glycolysis, pyruvate formation after glycolysis is changed to the next product through oxidation, that's within the mitochondrial membrane. Okay. So in summarized form, glycolysis, glucose to pyruvic acid, here formed, gained 2 ATP, less amount of energy. Then comes Krebs cycle and ETC within mitochondria, where after Krebs cycle output is CO2. After ETC output is ATP. So your Krebs cycle is not there to release enormous amount of energy. It's the ETC. After Krebs cycle, there will be formation of the ATP. Okay, and here we can see oxygen is entering in mitochondria and water is going out from mitochondria. So what is going to be formed? Hopefully you understood. So next, this is for the interested students. Krebs cycle. What about the products? We are not having in class 10 standard. But if you want to know what is happening here, pyruvic acid will now change to form the first component, that is acetyl-CoA in mitochondria. pyruvic acid converted to acetyl-CoA. Now that is going to change to all these components with help of many enzymes. I am just taking name of few of them. Oxaloacetate, a 4-carbon compound, will bind with acetyl-CoA, a 2-carbon compound. 4 plus 2, it will form this 6-carbon citrate. Next, it will form this 5-carbon compound. So 1 carbon less. That means that carbon is released in the form of CO2. Now it will change to succinate 4 carbon. So again CO2 released. In this way the Krebs cycle is going to perform in the cyclical way various components which are important to complete the aerobic respiratory pathway. Okay. So now what's the role of the ATP? That ATP, how it is going to be performed? Because in Krebs cycle, here nowhere ATP. Here we found that ATP is after the ETC. So let's take a look how the ATP formed. A quick look, okay? So what for the ATP needed? Suppose this is bird. For each and every activity, it needs the energy. So what it will do? The animal cell, here we can see the structure of the mitochondria. Okay, which one is mitochondria? Yes, these yellow structures, those are mitochondria. So those are having Christie-like structures, these finger-like structures. Okay, where in the inner mitochondrial membrane this ATP is formed. So how? That's the question. This ATP is the energy carrier. Okay, so let's take a look here. Okay, so we are taking the food as energy carrier, and within the cell it is cleaved to form the energy. This ATP, this made up of these three things. First, adenine, the base, nitrogenous base, pentose sugar, and 3-phosphate. This one means these phosphate bonds are high energy bonds. If it's broken, we will get enormous energy. That energy we are utilizing here. Okay, if ADP, only 2 phosphates. Another energy means this energy coming from another phosphate is used in the cellular activity. Okay, if joint, then ATP. This is actually you can say a cycle, ATP to ADP cycle. That's known as the ATP cycle. So first glycolysis, then comes this one, the formation of the Krebs cycle. Okay, then comes this one, the ADP formation or ATP formation, ATP cycle. Now this one, take a quick look. Okay, so again you can see clearly how high energy phosphate bonds are broken. Hopefully you understood. Adenine, the cyan color, that's the nitrogenous base. The purple color, that's the ribose pentose sugar, and then the phosphate, this is ADP. So that's the main components of the respiratory pathways. In your book you will get this one, It's the most important. Now hopefully all and each word of this chart is clear from your NCERT book. Glucose to pyruvate, then these three kinds of pathways we are getting according to the cell structure. Now we will focus in respiratory pathway of, means in human what happens here. In mitochondria, presence of oxygen, CO2, water, energy generated. Now let's have a look to our respiratory system, how it functions. Okay, I will first describe the main parts. You can see nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx or voice box, trachea or windpipe. It will enter to this to red color, most important structure, lung. Okay. Then comes this trachea will divide to bronchi, bronchi to bronchioles. Ultimately, it will reach alveoli. And this is the diaphragm which will help for this entire procedure. So a quick view. Okay. Now see. Lungs are expanded. Already we know these structures, how we are inhaling, you can see, and exhaling. Lungs are going to, means swollen, it's taking the air. These are the external nares, air passage. Here in nasal cavity, here we are having cilia, mucous membrane and blood capillaries. What purpose? Because air is filtered by the cilia, mucous membrane will moisten it and warmed by blood. Now from pharynx it is moving. You can see the windpipe and the footpipe, both the things. This is the epiglottis, the valve. If not properly working, it is going to the footpipe. Okay. This is the vocal folds. Okay. Now see, it's trachea, cartilaginous rings. That's why it's highly elastic like structure. Okay. It will not break. So it is now lung. You can see within the lung, those trachea is going to be from this bronchi, then the bronchiole, and this is the alveolar sac. So many alveolar sacs are there. The blue colored blood, already we know, deoxygenated blood. The red colored blood means the that oxygenated blood. How it will perform? Let's take a look. Two lobes of the right lung. Now here you can see within the alveoli, the oxygen, the red colored blood release the oxygen, the CO2, the blue colored blood, it just release the CO2 so that in the same external pathway it will move to the outside of the body through the external nares. In this way it is performing, means our respiratory system is performing. Now first figure, left side, inhalation. For inhalation, it is going to be expanded in the right side. Left side, exhalation. So for this expansion of the lung cavity, what we need? Three main things. Never forget. First, diaphragm that curves down up to 1.5 centimeter. So space more. Muscles will contract. Which muscle? The intercostal muscle. That will contract. And ribs will move up and out. As a whole, lung cavity more. Moreover, alveolar sacs are there. They can grasp that enormous amount of the air. When exhalation, diaphragm moves up, muscles relaxed, the intercostal muscles are relaxed, and now ribs also in its former position. As a whole, cavity-less. But always remember, within the lung cavity there must be some amount of the air, otherwise it will collapse. So many of you are asking me regarding the residual volume. That's the residual volume. Means after the forceful expiration, whatever there's still some amount of air. That's actually the residual amount of the air, residual volume. Okay? In your NCERT book, you will get this diagram. Each and every part of it I already discussed. Go through it. Go through all the previous 3 videos with this repeat class video of the chapter Life Process subtopic Respiration. Go through your notes that I have provided. Hopefully it's more than enough. Still, if you are having any queries, you are having 4 options through school website, comment box, or you can in YouTube you can ask me. Okay, in inbox part you can send me messages, or you can text me in my WhatsApp number, or you can text me in my email ID. That's simple, Bidita Banerjee Ghosh. So in all small, Bidita BG. Okay, these are the references. So hopefully you understood this chapter subtopic well. Be healthy, stay at home, and we will meet in our next repeat class. Thank you all.